On Thanksgiving Day, I suddenly went to my son's house. Seeing my grandson outside froze my blood. He was standing in the biting cold, shivering. I kicked the door open and stepped inside. The whole family was sitting in the warm room, enjoying turkey. Then I said a single sentence, and everyone's faces turned pale. Silence filled the room. Dear friends, if you like listening to such stories, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. I'm 55, divorced for 8 years, and I've spent most of those years trying to stay out of my son's marriage. His name is Daniel. He's 32, and he married a woman named Cassandra when he was 26. They have a son, my grandson Ethan, who just turned 7. I live about 40 minutes away in a small apartment, and I see them maybe once a month if I'm lucky. Daniel always says they're busy. Cassandra always has some reason why it's not a good time. This Thanksgiving, I wasn't invited. That part didn't surprise me. What surprised me was the text I got from Daniel's younger sister, my daughter Emily, at around 2 p.m. She wrote, "Dad, you need to go check on Ethan. Something's wrong. Daniel won't answer my calls." I tried calling Daniel. Voicemail. I tried Cassandra. Voicemail. I got in my car and drove straight there, my hands shaking on the wheel. Emily and Daniel haven't spoken much since their mother's funeral 2 years ago. She blamed Cassandra for keeping Daniel away from the family, and she wasn't entirely wrong. If Emily was reaching out now, something was seriously wrong. When I pulled up to their house at 2:47 p.m., I saw him immediately. Ethan, standing on the front porch in a thin long-sleeve shirt and jeans, no coat, no shoes, just socks. The temperature was 34 degrees. His lips had a bluish tint, and he was hugging himself, bouncing on his feet. I got out of the car and ran to him. "Ethan? Ethan, buddy, what are you doing out here?" He looked at me with tears frozen on his cheeks. "Grandpa," he whispered. "I was bad." "What?" No, come here." I pulled off my jacket and wrapped it around him. His whole body was shaking. "How long have you been out here?" "I don't know," he said, his teeth chattering. "A long time." I looked at the front door. Locked. I could hear voices inside, laughter even. The warm glow of lights through the curtains. I pounded on the door. No answer. I pounded again, harder. Still nothing. That's when I kicked it open. The frame splintered, the door swung wide, and I stepped inside with Ethan clinging to my side. The whole family was sitting in the warm living room. Daniel, Cassandra, her parents, her brother, and 2 other couples I didn't recognize. The dining table was covered in food: turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, pies. Everyone had plates. Everyone was laughing until they saw me. I looked at all of them, then at Daniel, then at Cassandra. I said one sentence. "Which one of you put my grandson outside in the freezing cold?" The silence was instant. Every face turned pale. Cassandra's mother dropped her fork. Daniel stood up, his face red. "Dad, what are you doing here?" "You can't just answer the question," I said, my voice steady and cold. "Who put Ethan outside?" Cassandra stood up too, her arms crossed. He was being disruptive. He wouldn't stop whining about wanting more pie before dinner, so I told him to cool off outside for a few minutes. A few minutes? I pulled Ethan closer to me. His socks were wet and dirty. He's been out there for over an hour. He has no coat, no shoes. It's 34 degrees outside. "It wasn't that long," Cassandra snapped. "And he needs to learn discipline. He's spoiled." I stared at her, then at Daniel. "And you let this happen?" Daniel wouldn't meet my eyes. "Dad, it's not." "She's right. He was being difficult, and you left your son outside to freeze while you all sat in here eating turkey." My voice cracked. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Cassandra's father stood up. "Now hold on. You can't come into their home," and "I can," and I did. "I'm taking Ethan with me. Right now." "You can't do that," Cassandra said, her voice shrill. "He's our son." "Then act like it." I looked at Daniel. "You have 10 seconds to tell me not to call CPS. 10 seconds to explain why I shouldn't report this." Daniel's face went white. "Dad, please, because if you don't," I continued, "I will make sure every person in this room, every neighbor, every family member knows what you did today. I will make sure Emily knows. I will make sure your mother's memory knows what kind of father you turned into." Cassandra lunged toward me. "You don't get to come in here and threaten us." "I'm not threatening," I said. "I'm telling you what I'm going to do." Daniel finally spoke, his voice small. "Dad, just take him for tonight." "Okay, just take him. We'll talk tomorrow." I didn't wait for permission. I picked Ethan up. He was so light. too light, and walked out through the broken door. Update 1: I took Ethan to my apartment and ran him a warm bath. Not too hot. I know that much from first aid training I did years ago for work. Gradual warming. I made him hot chocolate and wrapped him in every blanket I owned. He fell asleep on my couch at 5 p.m., his little hand holding mine. I called Emily and told her everything. She cried. Then she got angry. Then she said, "I knew something was off. I've been asking to see Ethan for months and Cassandra always has an excuse." At 8 p.m., Daniel called me. "Dad, we need to talk." "You're damn right we do," I said. "But not tonight. Tonight, Ethan stays with me. Cassandra's upset. She thinks you overreacted. Daniel, your son was outside in freezing weather for over an hour." His lips were blue. Silence. "Dad, she's been stressed. Work has been hard for her, and Ethan's been acting out a lot lately. And so you punish a 7-year-old by making him stand outside in the cold? That's abuse, Daniel. That's textbook abuse." "Don't say that word," he hissed. "Don't you dare. What word would you prefer? Neglect? Cruelty?" He hung up. I checked on Ethan every hour that night. He woke up twice, crying, asking if he was in trouble. I told him no. I told him he was safe. I told him I loved him. Update 2: the next day, Friday, Cassandra showed up at my apartment at 10 a.m. She pounded on the door, yelling, "I know you have my son in there. Open this door, or I'm calling the police." I opened it. Ethan was still asleep in the bedroom. "You need to leave," I said quietly. "I'm not leaving without Ethan." "Then I'll call the police myself," I said. "And I'll tell them exactly what happened yesterday." I took pictures of his wet socks. I took pictures of the front porch. I have the weather report from yesterday showing it was 34 degrees. Her face twisted. "You wouldn't. Try me." She stared at me for a long moment, then pulled out her phone. "Daniel, get over here. Your father is insane." 20 minutes later, Daniel arrived. We stood in my living room while Ethan stayed in the bedroom, and I laid it out for both of them. "Here's what's going to happen," I said. "Ethan is staying with me for the weekend. On Monday, we're going to sit down, all three of us, and we're going to talk about what happened. And if I ever see or hear of Ethan being treated like that again, I will call CPS, I will call a lawyer, and I will fight for custody." "You can't," Cassandra started. "I can. And I will." Daniel looked defeated. "Dad, please. Don't make this worse. I'm not the one who made it worse. You did that yourself." They left. Ethan stayed with me the whole weekend. We went to the park. We watched movies. He smiled more in those 2 days than I'd seen in months. Update 3: on Monday, we met at a diner. Neutral ground. Ethan was with Emily, who'd driven down to help. Cassandra came in looking like she'd been crying. Daniel looked exhausted. I didn't waste time. "I want to know why. Why you thought that was okay." Cassandra broke first. "He's been so difficult lately. He doesn't listen. He talks back. He's 7. He needs structure. He needs discipline." "Discipline isn't abuse," I said. "And what you did was abuse." Daniel finally spoke. "Dad, I know you're angry. I'm not angry," I said. "I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken that my son let this happen to his own child." That hit him. I could see it in his face. "I want joint custody," I said. Informal, but real. "Ethan stays with me every other weekend. No arguments. No excuses." "That's not," Cassandra started. "Or I call CPS," I said simply. "Your choice." Daniel looked at Cassandra, then back at me. Okay, Dad. Every other weekend." Cassandra looked furious, but she nodded. Final update: it's been 3 months. Ethan stays with me every other weekend, and sometimes during the week if Daniel asks. He's doing better. He talks more. He laughs more. Cassandra and I don't speak. Daniel and I talk, but it's strained. He knows what happened was wrong, but he's too deep in his marriage to fully admit it. Emily and Ethan are close now. She drives down once a month to take him to the zoo or the movies. I fixed their front door. I paid for it myself. Not because I regretted kicking it in, but because I wanted them to remember every time they looked at it. Ethan told me last week that he feels safe at my house. That's all I needed to hear. Edit 1. A lot of people are asking if I reported it to CPS anyway. I didn't. Not yet. But I'm watching. If anything like this happens again, I won't hesitate. Edit 2. Some people are saying I should have called the cops that day. Maybe I should have. But I wanted to protect Ethan first, and I didn't want him taken by the state. I made the choice I thought was right in the moment.